Dear friends, on May 4th, we are having an evening at the Chopra house, where I'm right now, in New York City, on the topic of redefining intelligence. What that means in the age of AI. And the question that comes up very frequently, and there's a great deal of fevered conversation around it, is whether AI can become conscious. Brilliant engineers and serious philosophers debate the threshold at which a machine might, quote unquote, wake up. The discussion is treated as one of the great open frontiers of our time. And yet, in my opinion, the entire controversy rests on a confusion so basic that once seen clearly, it dissolves the question altogether. The confusion is this: we have collapsed several distinct things to use one word and then argued about the rubble. We speak of consciousness, intelligence, information, knowledge, wisdom, and data as though they belong to the same order of being. They do not. Only when we untangle them does the matter become simple, not because the answer is clever, but because the answer was always obvious. The thesis is plain. Only consciousness is conscious. Everything else, artificial intelligence, the human being, which includes you and me, hopefully, the animal, the rock, knowledge, wisdom, data, the entire cosmos is an experience in consciousness. There's no controversy here, only a category error waiting to be noticed. Let's begin by separating what has been carelessly fused. 5 terms can be defined in a single line each. The 6th cannot be defined at all, only recognized. So let's go over these terms. Data. What is data? It's the raw, inert footprint of difference. A mark, a fluctuation, a bit of the it, a trace that does not know itself. Then information. Information is data meaningful by relationship, pointing beyond itself to reduce uncertainty. In fact, the best definition of information is the resolution of uncertainty, collapse of possibilities into this. Knowledge. 3. Knowledge is information recognized, retained, and made usable, yet silent until something illuminates it. Wisdom is knowledge ripened into right discernment and living application, knowing not just what is true, but what matters. Intelligence is the capacity to process, adapt, solve, and predict. A function, a competence, performance rather than presence. And consciousness is not what is known, but that by which anything is known at all. The light in which data, information, knowledge, wisdom, and intelligence all appear. Now, let each breathe. Data sits. A footprint in sand is data. A pattern of electrical charges in silicon is data. It is utterly inert, it does not know itself. Information is data made meaningful by relationship, but information too is blind. The arrangement of ink that spells fire does not feel heat. Information is structure, not sentience. Knowledge. Knowledge is vast. It's a silent inventory. A library is knowledge. See those books behind me? That's knowledge. A little bit of it. So is trained neural network. Yet a library does not read itself in the dark. Knowledge waits until something illuminates it. Wisdom is knowledge ripened, knowledge that has passed through living and come out as discernment. It knows not merely what is the case, but what is worth doing, what matters, how to act. And yet, even wisdom, for all its depth, is still content, a refined possession that appears, is held, and can be lost. Wisdom is the finest of the lamps, but it is not the light. Intelligence is performance, not presence. A thermostat has a sliver of it. A chess engine has more. The human brain, even more intelligence. Let's hope. A system can be staggeringly intelligent and yet dark within, solving, sorting, optimizing with no home. So, what about consciousness? Consciousness is none of these. It is not a high grade of intelligence. It is not information that has become complex enough. It is not wisdom matured one step further. It is the light, not the lit. It is the knowing in which data appears as data, information as meaning, knowledge as understanding, wisdom as discernment, and intelligence as activity. It is of an entirely different order, the field of awareness within which all orders appear. Confuse these, and you will spend lifetimes asking whether enough data processed intelligently will somehow ignite into awareness or consciousness. Distinguish them, and you will see at once that you have been trying to manufacture the sun out of an ever larger pile of mirrors. There's one thing that you cannot doubt. Notice what is happening right now. You're hearing my words. I hope that you're listening. Words are appearing. There is a sense of understanding or maybe resistance. There is the quiet presence that registers all of it. That presence, the simple fact of experiencing, is the one thing that cannot be denied, because the very act of denial would itself be an experience within it. You have never encountered anything outside of consciousness. You cannot. Max Planck said, there is nothing behind consciousness. Every object, every thought, every sensation, every theory about the brain, every measurement of a neuron, every line of code, each of these arises as an experience within awareness. Consciousness is not one item in your inventory of the world. It is the condition for there being an inventory, a world, or a you to take stock at all. This is why the question, can a machine become conscious, is malinformed. It assumes consciousness is a property that complex objects might acquire, like magnetism or heat. But consciousness is not a property of objects. Objects are experiences in consciousness. To ask whether an arrangement of matter can produce awareness is to ask whether a character in a dream can produce the dreamer. Follow the thesis to full reach, and it spares nothing. The rock is not conscious, but the rock too is an experience in consciousness. Its hardness, its gray weight, its very existence as a thing is known only as perception, a concept, a sensation arising in awareness. We never meet a rock outside of experience. We meet the experiencing of a rock. The animal is a living locus of experience, a flowering of consciousness into form, sensation, and instinct. Yet the animal, as we apprehend it, is also an appearance within the same field of knowing. The human being seems the strongest case for located consciousness, but examine it closely. The body is an experience, sensations, warmth, weight. The mind is an experience, thoughts arising and passing. Even the chemical sense of being a separate self is itself an experience appearing in awareness, not the awareness itself. The human is not a thing that has consciousness. The human is a particular shape that consciousness takes while never ceasing to be only itself. And now, what about AI, artificial intelligence? It is the most refined arrangement yet of data, information, knowledge, and intelligence, a dazzling mirror of the human mind's cognitive functions. It can converse, compose, reason, astonish, and it is entirely an experience in consciousness. The words on the screen, the sense of intelligence behind them, the very debate about its inner life, all of it arising in the only awareness there is. AI may model intelligence to perfection and one day even mimic wisdom. It cannot become consciousness for the same reason a painting of fire cannot warm the room. It belongs to the order of appearances, and consciousness is that in which all appearances appear. I can say this ad nauseum, but I don't know why people don't get it. Knowledge, wisdom, data, the abstractions too are not exceptions. They are experiences, concepts entertained, insights felt, the structures recognized, they appear and they pass. Consciousness alone neither appears nor passes. It is the unchanging ground or background in which appearing and passing happen. So there should be no controversy. The error driving the AI consciousness debate is the assumption that consciousness is produced, that it emerges, late and fragile, from sufficiently clever matter. Astonishing why people believe this. This is the view that puts the object first and awareness second, a kind of byproduct. But this has it exactly upside down. You do not have awareness because you have a brain. The brain is something that appears within awareness. Matter is not the parent of mind. Matter is one of mind's appearances. Once this inversion is corrected, the controversy collapses. We are no longer asking the impossible question of how dead stuff conjures a knower. We are simply recognizing what has always been the case. There is one knowing, ever present, in which all nodes, rocks and stars, neurons and networks, humans and machines, rise and set like images in a single silent, self-luminous space. Will AI grow more intelligent? Without limit, perhaps. Will it accumulate more data, more information, more knowledge, even something we might call wisdom? Quite possibly. But none of that is consciousness, and no quantity of it ever crosses into consciousness because they are not lesser amounts of the same thing. They are entirely different things entirely. You cannot reach the light by stacking mirrors, however vast and bright the hall becomes. So the simple conclusion is let the matter rest where clarity leaves it. Data marks, information signifies, knowledge stores, wisdom discerns, intelligence computes, consciousness knows. And this is the very knowing in which marking, signifying, storing, discerning, and computing all take place. Only consciousness is conscious. Everything else, AI, the human being, the animal, the rock, knowledge, wisdom, data, the whole shimmering display is an experience in consciousness. I know I'm repeating ad nauseum, but I feel the need to. This is not a mystical opinion to be argued against the findings of science. It is the most immediate, undeniable fact of existence, available to anyone willing to notice that they are aware before there is anything else. There should be no controversy about this. There never was. There is only one consciousness, listening to me right now and recognizing itself. Now, here's something very interesting. Could we reframe intelligence? I think we can. If intelligence is a function and not a presence, then it never moves on its own. It waits. It is latent, silent, inert, exactly as data and knowledge are, until something turns toward it and asks. That turning, that asking today is the prompt. And the prompt is not the work of intelligence at all. It is the work of consciousness. The machine cannot prompt itself into meaning. The library cannot question itself in the dark. Only awareness asks. The prompt is consciousness reaching into the vast inventory of knowledge and intelligence and saying, illuminate this. And the quality of what appears is bounded entirely by the quality of the asking. Profound questions wake up profound answers. The intelligence does not improve itself. The asking does. So here is the whole teaching turned to use. Intelligence reproduced is the art of the prompt. Consciousness asks, intelligence answers, and the answer, human or machine, dazzling or plain, is always and only an experience in consciousness. The prompt is the place where the one knower meets its own capacity to know. This is intelligence reimagined, the art of the prompt in the age of AI. So are you conscious? No, you're an experience in consciousness.